Hey guys, thanks for watching Cold Open. This is the first live show that the Film Hound podcast has ever done. We're so excited to share it with you. It's for a movie called In Time, directed by Naomi Wantwadi. She's amazing, In Time's amazing. It's a movie I really can't wait for you guys to see in festivals and in all the places that it's going to be. So go ahead and check out Naomi down below in the links and enjoy the show.
Hello? Oh, it does work. Hi. How's it going, folks? Hey, this is my first live show for the program, so let's hear it. Yeah. Let's hear it for In Time. Yeah. So if you don't know me, well, my name's Snoop Doggy Dogg. No, my name's Hunter. And why I get to do this today is not only because I was one of Trey's students back in the day, but because I represent a company called Grand Design Inc. And Grand Design Inc. is Aurora's only African-American performing arts company, and I'm their social media manager. So usually when I go up to events and I say, it is Aurora's only African-American performing arts company, that's the biggest laugh I get all night. But I really am all about local art. I'm here for the city of Aurora. I'm here for In Time. I'm here for people like Naomi and all these wonderful cast and crew who make movies here in Colorado, because art can be everywhere. It doesn't have to be funded by a bunch of people in Hollywood or New York. It can happen from the ground up anywhere, as long as you have the grit and the determination and amazing stories like In Time. So we're gonna get into all of those today. But first, I get to do a game show every week where I ask people the most trivial, inane questions about movies. So if I cornered you earlier today, I asked you who you were, what you did for the movie, and your favorite movie. So I'm gonna ask you trivia from those movies. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay, so if I call up your name, come up to the stage. And I'm going to ask you a question from not your favorite movie, but from somebody else's. That way, yeah, well, if you knew everything about Raiders of the Lost Ark, get ready. May I please have Amy Pallas, who edited the movie? What's going to be fun about this is I never get to meet all the fun people in the movie who get edited, who is the assistant director. So this is going to be extra exciting for me. Amy, how you doing? So Amy, your favorite movie is When Harry Met Sally, right?
Yes.
Well, that's great. Here's a question about the show Atlanta.
Okay, I've seen like 3 episodes.
Oh, I hope the first one is one of them.
It was on a plane. I don't know.
So Paperboy is the title of a song of the rapper Paperboy. But Paperboy did not rap the song Paperboy. It was actually a member of Donald Glover's family. So who was it? His father, his mother, his brother, or his sister?
Sister?
No, it was his brother. I'm so sorry. Amy, you have to leave the stage now. Thanks for joining us. Give it up for Amy. Look at those smooth cuts, that wonderful sound. She did a lot of that. Now, may I please have, sometimes I never get to meet some of the actors who are in a movie. I never get to meet all of them, though I get to love watching them. So may I please have Ramaya DeGray. She played Nadia, and she was great. Nadia, how you doing tonight? Say into the mic. So your favorite movie is Secret Headquarters, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Great, I hope you like Raiders of the Lost Ark. So there's a fun story about Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Okay.
So you know that scene where that fella has the sword and he's swinging it all about and he looks all impressive?
Totally.
Yeah. And then Harrison Ford just pulls out a gun and goes, bop! You know that scene?
Yes.
Great. So originally in the movie, Harrison Ford, Indiana Jones, he was supposed to pull out a sword and he was supposed to fight the fella.
Oh, now I know this scene.
Yeah, now you know the scene. Do you know why Harrison Ford just pulled out a gun and shot him?
Do I get an A, B, C, D?
Sure. Whoa, no. Let me give her options first. So was it A, because it was Ramadan, so no sword fighting? Was it B, because he had dysentery? Was it C, it was Sunday, so they had limited hours? Or was it D, because Harrison Ford won't fight somebody with a sword if he has to go to pilot a plane later because he might crash the plane?
Gosh.
It's in his contract.
I think C.
Do you want to test that with the audience?
Yes.
Audience, what do you think? A lot of them are shouting dysentery at you. What do you think?
Well, I guess dysentery. Then?
Correct! It's because Harrison Ford had a mild case of dysentery.
I totally did that by myself.
Thank you, Ramaya. We'll chat later, but thank you so much. Yeah, all right. Now, may I have one last person? May I have Janelle Lewis, the makeup artist for the movie. May I have you, Janelle? Hi, Janelle, how are you doing?
I didn't know I was going to have to come on stage.
Because I didn't tell you.
Okay.
How you doing tonight?
Good.
Great. So you said your favorite movie or show was Atlanta.
Yes.
So do you like When Harry Met Sally?
I don't know if I've ever seen that.
Well, that's too bad.
Okay.
So there's a famous line in the movie. I'm going to give you some options for that.
Okay.
But it's suggested by writer Nora Ephron that it was improvised and suggested by Billy Crystal.
Okay.
So I'm going to give you 4 options for this line. Was it A, I don't like that soup? Was it B, I'll have what she's having? Was it C, I'll have what he's having? Or was it D, I am serious and don't call me Shirley?
I'm going to go with B.
You're going to go with B?
I just have a hunch.
What do you think, audience?
Yes?
Well, I'll have what you're having because it was the right answer. Yay!
What do I get?
To go sit down. So, folks, I'm really excited about this. Let's dig in. I would like to invite someone who I know that you know is very special. She directed the movie. Her name's Naomi. Come on up, Naomi. Hey, now, where did we decide I was sitting?
Right there.
Excellent.
All right.
So, how are you feeling tonight?
Great. I'm feeling great.
So, how does it feel to see the movie on screen?
Oh, it feels great. It feels like a culmination of so much work and talk and, yeah, work. But fun stuff, but also really fun, so.
Well, I'm really glad you said the work because I know you put the work in. You know, we can see every ounce of In Time has just so much joy, you know, pain, and a lot of the themes of healing are just so brilliant. So I'm really glad you're here with me today and that we get to do this show. So why don't we talk about how this all started? What made you come up with In Time?
Well, I was walking out of my door towards my parking lot to a doctor's appointment when this little girl showed up literally to me out of nowhere, asking me to take her to school. And I looked around thinking, is this a joke? Is someone playing a game on me? And I had that reaction of, I really have got to go where I need to go. And but at the same time, it was this feeling of, you know, you have your priorities. You have to do something that's going to be beneficial for you. So in my mind, I'm thinking I need to get to this really important doctor's appointment, and yet there's someone who needs my help. And so, that stayed with me. I got to talk to her, ask her pretty much all the questions that you heard, and even more. because it wasn't, a lot of times, I feel like as a Black woman, walking around, like the world has some a lot of expectations of you, right? Like you have to carry your own burdens and you have to go through your own journey of healing. Yet at the same time, there's this expectation of caring for everybody else. And so how do you do that, So I decided I will write the story based on that, essentially.
Well, what a reaction. You see this, and now you've come to taking that story. So I want to talk about how you met up with Trey, how you made this all happen. But first, I want to talk about the themes behind this, healing and the expectations of what a lot of Black women face. So in your daily living, do you feel that oftentimes, you're asked of more than, say, an average person or myself, a white man?
Yeah, absolutely. It's what you walk away with. It's this sense of duty, this sense of loyalty, and the sense that it's not all bad, right? Like I love my family, I love my friends, and I love what I do, and I want to be able to carry that. But there's also this what I think of sometimes, this myth of the strong Black woman that doesn't allow you to take a step back sometimes and rest. And that's a belief, that the world, kind of has, I think, this idea that both in the culture sometimes, but also outside of the culture, where there's just this pressure. And so when you are going through your own healing process, it's not always easy to say no or to have boundaries. And that's not, we're not all a monolith. That's not every single Black woman. But what I have experienced a lot of times and felt is this idea of carrying my own healing while at the same time, how do I reconcile that, while at the same time connecting with others and helping them and doing things for them, helping my community. And what I come away with is I need to be healthy, and that may take time. It may just not be at the same pace as everyone else. And so I need to be healthy. I need to pursue my healing and be in a place, in a space where then I can be a force for others. Then I can be able to help others and lift up others.
Thank you for sharing that, especially because it's such a beautiful story, and I really appreciate you talking about rightness or all rightness, which is something that, in Aurora, in Colorado, we've been trying to promote, is the idea that everyone can just be all right. So let's talk about how you got this movie made. So you got a grant as a first-time director, and you had never written or wrote or directed anything before. How did you manage all of that and make it happen?
It was definitely a team effort. It was a pitch contest that I won through CFVA. Some of you know of them, the group.
Go ahead and tell us who they are.
Yeah, so it's the Colorado Film Video Association. I think I got this right. Of which I'm a member. And so they have a pitch contest every year, and they're a local group that promotes as part of the film industry, promotes those who are interested in film and video in all aspects. So I got together with the producers at Trey, especially her and I worked together quite a lot on what it is that's needed for a pitch. And it was a great process. It was a learning process, talking about the story, but also part of, I believe I won because I did win, but because it was, it wasn't just about talking about the story, right? It was also about behind the story, like what was my personal connection with the story. So I got to share that during the pitch. I also got to talk about, the goal that Trey mentioned, having 70% plus of a diverse cast and crew, why that was important. And I also got to talk about, kind of what our planned production process was going to be. So I got to talk about all of these things, and I think I had like 1 or 2 questions from the judges, and so it was. What was important, I think, for that, for some of you who are in the industry, and what I learned was to be able to tell the story as quickly as possible, be very concise, and let it really come from who you are and let it come from your heart. So.
Thank you. So one question that I think a lot of people will ask and have asked of productions from like Tyler Perry or, from BET or Black Focused Entertainment is that it happens in a bubble, that it doesn't happen in a wider sphere. So with the quota you guys had for 70% diversity with the entirely Black cast, how do you promote that and exit that bubble?
I don't know if it's a bubble. I think that, no matter where you come from, so I'm speaking from the perspective of being a Black woman in America, like, I can relate to other people from other groups, right? Like, I'm human. Like, my story can be someone else's story. And I think for me, it's just important for people to see that. Like, we're not an other or this mythical thing, that's just popped out of nowhere and people are trying to discover who we are. We've been here for a long time. We've been around the world for a long time. So, what I ask myself is, well, if a white man can write a story that will get Black people in the theater, what can it happen the other way around, That's possible. And I think as long as we know that that's possible, we can achieve that. And, so, having an all-Black cast or having diverse people from diverse groups is not a limiter, right? It's not something that doesn't allow us to get there. It's actually great because it shows that it's possible for anyone and anybody. And this system is not just for one group. We all get to do art. We've all been gifted and blessed with abilities and skills and dreams and creativity. So to have the opportunity to do that, I think is, can really enrich everyone's life, I think.
Well, that's one thing. Well, that's one thing that I think is a great thing that I hope everyone takes away, that your dreams are possible, and it doesn't matter who we are or how much money we got in the bank. Things are possible. So why don't we invite up some people who make things possible? Shall we, Naomi?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Why don't you introduce them?
We'll start with Jordan. Yeah. Jordan was the cinematographer and the DP.
Should I start here?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
In time.
Yes.
Hi, friend.
Grab a mic.
Hi. How's it going?
Good, it's good.
Well, Jordan, you and I have worked together a lot. We did a movie called Homecoming, which will be coming out in 2023. Why don't you talk about Homecoming a little bit?
Homecoming was and is very different than this film. It's
sure.
more my bread and butter, like the quick run and gun by the seat of your pants, and it's like an absolute horror film that's meant to be fun and scare you, and a completely different type of film. And so that was like the thing I did before I walked into this one.
What a palate cleanser.
Yeah.
So with this movie, how do you get drawn in? How do you get with the producers? And your whole vibe is that you're someone who can complete all three of the things, right? The things are, it can be cheap, it can be good, and it can be fast. And you usually get to pick two. With Jordan, you get to pick all three.
I always prefer if you pick two. Yeah, I got dragged into this by Trey. By so many of us were dragged in by Trey. So it was great. She's an amazing connection. There's always like interesting film things happening around her. I was in the writers group, which is maybe why she thought of my name, and it was really nice to like be on a film that had like a lot of planning and thought. No offense, my friend. I love your production. I'm just saying that to really sort of like marinate in the pre-production process and like go back and forth and express ideas and just like talk through it a long time before it happened. And when we were there and it was happening, we knew exactly what was happening. And both types of filmmaking are totally valid and fun in their own ways. And it's good to have a balance between them.
Are you saying you didn't like to be in the woods for 18 days with me?
It was my favorite thing. It was so much fun. Just like camping, but more stressful.
Oh, it was just... Hey, no. With camping, you know where dinner's coming.
That's true. It's true.
But speaking of working with Naomi, it must have been such a pleasure. So, she was doing this for the first time. You're kind of a veteran, but Naomi's the kind of person, to quote a particular man, Mr. Jack Harlow, she makes the vets feel like they're juniors. So how does it feel like working with her?
Well, it was amazing. I forget that this was like your first thing. I was just like, oh, it's good to be in the hands of a professional who knows what they're doing, who can like...
You're hurting my feelings, Jordan.
Thanks, Jordan. I'll take it.
As I've been in the past, in the hands of a professional, it's good to again be in the
nice try.
Safe
anyway,
hands.
Naomi.
But no, it was great. It really gave me the ability to just like focus on my part of the craft and sit there and mess with the lighting and haze up the room way too much. And you were like, all right, we need to keep going. The actors are ready, and I'm like, oh, they're ready. Great. Okay, sure.
Well, Naomi, what is it like to work with someone who really knows their craft and, someone you can plug into with, somebody that you can take your ideas and kind of formulate them into something that translate well into film?
Yeah, so what I appreciated about Jordan was that I didn't have the technical language. And so I would just talk about my vision and what I saw. And, we went through kind of like, here's what I'm picturing, here are some ideas, here's what I'm thinking, and have him translate that, into what it looks like on film and different shots was really helpful. So yeah, it was easy. It was great. We had a lot of fun on set.
That's
really did.
That's the best part of sort of like working between kind of our two worlds is that like there's like absolutely a limitation if you're like really technically focused, but then to bring it to life and to have sort of those ideas sort of expand the technical into like a really great vision. Like the stuff that we produce together is like nothing I would ever be able to produce on my own, This is, like,
and
really
the energy,
useful.
can you feel that? I love it.
Well, speaking about energy, what do you think is the relationship that you can kind of build with a cinematographer? And a lot of people think of it as like great friendships, and you get directors who work with just one cinematographer. How do you now, if you ever work with somebody else, do you think you'll have like that same kinetic feeling?
I mean, that's what you look for, but if, when I work with somebody else, no offense, Jordan,
And then expand your scope. Okay.
but, when that happens, I'm not going to look for a Jordan. What I want to do is to understand that person, is to respect their craft, is to see where they're coming from. Are we connecting? Like, when I'm saying, well, I'm, picturing this type of lighting, or, they can come up with, they can talk back to me in terms of like their craft and their expertise of what that would mean then, So what I would be looking for is just great collaboration, but with respect to understanding the vision and being able to translate it on screen, so that it's a great film.
Speaking of that kind of feeling and that kind of person that kind of gives you the energy of the film, how do you for maybe the next movie, because you're going to get lots more grant money, and you're going to get a bigger, we're going to get more movies.
Speak on it, speak it.
Speak their truth and pray for it. But what kind of feeling will we be going for with the next project?
Hopefully, what I love to do is for people to relate, for people to connect. I'm on this transformation journey. What does it look like for people? So that's the feeling that I'm hoping that change. How do you adapt to change? How do you change? And what does that look like?
And Jordan, I have one question for you. I have 20 days in the woods next. You want to come?
Oh, absolutely. Count me in.
Great, we're going to share one cabin. Now, speaking of change and making things happen, why don't we introduce 4 more people to the stage? Or 2 more people to the stage. 3 more, 4 more, 5?
However many.
Well, we have specifically the producers of the movie, and their names are Trey and Jacob and our friend Mike. So come on up, guys. We'll have to figure out things with the mic. So just if we're a little pushy with the mics or have to grab them in each other's hands, please forgive that while we move forward. Howdy, guys. Grab a mic or share them between you. We got 3 people and 2 ice cream cones. Okay. So, Trey, I kind of see you as a lot of people see you as the jumping point. You're the person who makes things happen. You're the person who really gets the ideas.
It's way too much pressure.
Say it into the mic.
It's way too much pressure.
Well, you find the right people. So what was the process of finding Naomi and saying, this is the person I really want to make something with?
Everything that we did was done as a team. So when we were looking at the scripts, it's more really a question for Jacob and Mike, because there was something in there that just really, really, resonated there. What was it that you were?
We were kind of deathly afraid of having to go through hundreds of scripts and just not finding anything. And then you just came back with a couple scripts, maybe a half a dozen. And Naomi's just bubbles straight to the top as having huge potential, tons of heart.
Jacob, I remember you in particular spoke really eloquently about what you were seeing in that script, what you were responding to.
Well, I would just say what Mike said. I mean, there's a ton of really bad scripts out there.
Don't spoil it.
He's the eloquent one.
Yep. So you had that going for you. And no, the story worked. It's a great story. It felt very authentic. It felt like real characters in real life, and that's appealing to me.
Well, what's appealing to me is kind of the goal that you guys put forth before the production of the movie. Since, you're 2 white fellers, and we got 1 white lady. So how do you guys come up with the idea we're going to stick to this principle of not just checking the boxes when we say 70% diversity, not just picking out people and saying they're going to be on the crew and they're going to fill a quota, but telling a story that's authentic to communities that are affected by this and telling a real human story?
I don't know if we thought about it that deeply. We just knew that Jacob and I share a pretty, majority voice, and we wanted to not do that for this film. There's so many voices out there that are not us, and we thought we have an opportunity to give some spotlight.
And moving forward as we go on, I want to ask this because producers are the people that, they're the ones that can either salt the earth or really make a movement and shake it. And how can we look forward as producers and make things happen for the whole community moving forward?
There's some pressure. Yeah, solve this.
I'm out. Nope, I'm out. Too much pressure.
Want to take a crack?
I don't know how to answer that. What I know is that as individual filmmakers, we can make choices about what projects we want to work on and what people who we want to collaborate with. And this started with Mike and I just deciding like Trey said at the very beginning, lots of other projects, but they are all taking a long time, or they're other people's projects, so let's just make something and let's make this a priority, because it's something, I think it's really hard. If you just go make a movie, for me as a white guy, going to make a movie, if I don't work. It takes a lot of effort to not be. You just tap into your networks, and when you're a white guy, most of your networks tend to be white guys, and maybe bleed a little bit into other communities. And so it's like we had to make that decision, I think, very early that that's how we're going to approach this. Which is part we reached out to Trey because Trey's Trey and a great person to add to the team, and she's done a ton of work of this kind of in this area, and she knows all the writers and all the directors.
That's where I guess that I like what you said. We knew our weaknesses and our strengths. I know post sound really well. You're a fantastic producer. We did not know where to go for a director and writer. And Trey just, started filling out that talent, and Naomi did the rest.
Well, that's what I think you guys should have to do is just hire Naomi again. Really, that's a simple answer is, I think we got to highlight more voices just like her. So I guess, Naomi, I got to turn it back to you. And what do you think is somewhere where we can kind of address an issue where, Colorado, it has a lot of, I think Trey put it kind of nicely when she was on my podcast, and she said it was awash with beards. So how do we shave the beard a little bit?
Sorry, Jordan. Yeah, I don't know if I can answer that. I think I kind of want to go back a little bit to the question that you asked and just name something right in the room. So I think it's easy to see me sit up here and see two white men and a white woman sitting up here and think, this was all directive, but this really was a team effort. This really was, recognizing different aspects of diversity. Like Trey said at the beginning, anything from LGBTQ, anyone from the LGBTQ plus community, a different BIPOC people, and another thing is disabilities, like people both hidden and visible disabilities, just wanting to be open to that, and that really gave us a really good place to start and to build up on. And now I don't remember your question. How do we shave the beards?
I think we can keep some of the beard at least. But, well, why don't we talk more about the movie, and why don't we get into more some of the themes here? And I want to thank the producers for coming up, and we're going to see you guys real soon. But why don't we introduce somebody else?
Sure.
Yeah. So we're gonna have Jordan swing around. Yeah. So Naomi, who are we talking to first?
Our next person is, I'm looking at my producers for a hint. Our next person will be Nate Alexander.
Nate, come on up. Go ahead and grab that mic. So Nate, hi, you play the dad in the movie. How's that feel?
It felt, good to be a father, first off. Not good, because I'm kind of an asshole in the movie. That's contrary to my actual nature, so it's a little different.
Well, you're an asshole with a redeemable character. How about that?
I'm trying. I just want the best for Aiden, but, I come off a little strong.
We all do sometimes, right? So why don't we talk about your character? What did you talk about from the day you met Naomi to set?
So the day I met Naomi was actually the same day I met Trey as well, and Mike. It was for the callback for the audition, I believe. And I think like any actor out there, you get a little nervous for your callback. You're excited that you got one, but you're nervous, you don't want to mess it up. And from the onset, the environment was so welcoming. I think we didn't even start right away with the audition. I think we just kind of chatted and just kind of, just shot the breeze a little bit, which was great. It really helped me out. And then we kind of discussed just the character, the meaning behind the character, kind of the inspiration, and then kind of went to the audition itself. And just everything just kind of flowed real smoothly. And then it just kept going. Showed up on set. It was the exact same environment. It was welcoming. It was real cool. It was casual. It just kept going.
Sounds like a nice way to make a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I loved about Nate, like even in rehearsal, I mean, we had just, it's like, I want to use every take, you know? He's just such a great actor, a great person to work with, super flexible.
Thanks.
So really appreciate that about him.
Well, as much as I just want to fawn on you all day, because I just mentioned I don't want to say an unkind word, let's talk about the character a little bit. You know, there's a big theme of forgiveness and healing in there. So what do you think encapsulates the problem with that? Because your character acts like a sort of foil. You know, you have a responsibility. It's not that you're a jerk. You got a son you got to take care of. And, you know, sometimes others can feel like a liability. So how do you feel that the sense of healing in this movie has to flow through you?
I think for myself going into it, just putting myself in Maurice's shoes, the theme was grace. And I think that it's a theme that I think a lot of us can get behind in our daily lives. None of us really are perfect, but when you're kind of on your track, it can sometimes seem like you're the only one trying. And as you see throughout the rest of the film, especially towards the end, it kind of slaps Maurice in the face like, hey, dude, you're not the only one trying. Yeah, you may kind of be doing the right things, but it still takes two. And you got to have some grace and give and allow people the opportunity and the chance to grow.
While I have you here, I wanted to ask Jordan and Naomi, how do you capture that kind of emotion and that turning point, that feeling of grace for all, for when you're on set and you have this wonderful actor and he's got to just play all the roles. He's got to play a villain, he's got to play the dad. How do you capture the human moments in between? You know, especially with the camera.
Well, it's pretty complicated. You make sure the lens is pointed at the actor when they're delivering their performance. That's the best way to get it. And honestly, I mean, like Naomi's right. It was great. It was a joy. Every time I was like, yeah, let's do that again. I was like in it. You would call cut and I'd be like, oh yeah, I'm recording this. Okay, yeah. Sorry. All right. Sorry, Amy, for all the loose footage.
Well, but without Naomi, how do you communicate with the actor that, you know, there's so many things boiling inside of a human heart? How do you communicate, you know, just to give that feeling to an actor that they need to?
Yeah, I think the first part for me was trusting the actor, trusting Nate, trusting his instinct, and but also kind of, you know, shifting some things a little bit, you know, by asking him to, you know, think about different things, or, you know, presenting different scenarios, you know, and we just connected with each one. And yeah, I mean, you know, and then you get in the editing room and then you do all that, but it was just, yeah, that's what I would say, like trusting the actor first, and then working with them on, you know, who the character is and what the character conveys.
And Nate, sometimes when I feel like I'm reading a part, and I'm like, I really want to go against the grain of the character. Not that you don't trust Naomi, but you're like, boy, forgiving someone who's just failed so many times, how am I going to do that? How am I going to say those words? So when you're an actor and you have that instinct, how do you find that within yourself?
I think specifically to this film, and something that you did amazingly was, especially in the rehearsal, we played all of it. So we did takes that weren't probably true to the story necessarily, just to see it. I think as an actor, whether you are in your bedroom prepping for an audition or you taking a self-tape, do it a lot. Do it a lot. Like play with it in different ways. You would constantly ask different questions to help shape the scene. So you never gave me any direction of you have to do it this way. It was more, here's a left one, here's a right one, play. And so as an actor, that's kind of a dream come true. And so I think if you get that opportunity, let your imagination run wild. You can't be afraid that it may not work, because that's the beauty that everything is digital now. We can just do it again and again. So
With that much back and forth, were you starting to kind of see beyond the bounds of the film for your character? Did you have kind of a story developing and what else might have happened if it kept rolling?
Actually, yeah. Just thinking about Maurice, kind of the before. I went into it thinking, what happened before this that led to the scene? Why am I angry in the first place? Why do I have these trust issues with Mona in the first place? And then, kind of as we went through, getting to delve into, getting a little bit of egg on my face as Mona triumphantly stands up for herself. Then, kind of getting to play with it. Well, okay, so if this really to happen, where do we go from here? We've got to be a team. Aiden's gonna need 2 parents. Okay, so maybe I lax a little bit. Maybe we work through things. Maybe I talk to the judge. Hey, give her another day. Reset the balance a little bit more. Just from a character perspective, I just kind of let my imagination just kind of go with that, and it helped when we came to the last scene of being able to kind of let go of my own ego, or Maurice's ego in this case, and to allow Mona to shine bright and in the way she really should have been.
I love that. It feels like you saw where this film ended and you saw where it was going, and you saw a happy ending to even beyond that coming, that it was going to get better. It's great.
Is there ever a version in your heart or in the film where you said no and it was just a bad ending, like you're getting your kid taken away?
Yeah, we ran through one in the rehearsals actually, where we said it was a little bit of a different setting. So we were at It was here, but there was
Oh my gosh.
like a whole staircase and
Yeah.
the movie magic. So, so we were playing it, and if you remember, we ran through a couple where at the end, instead of kind of offering that grace, I just slammed the door in
right.
Mona's face.
That's
and
right.
Personally, it felt good. Good. Listen, guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm a Cancer, okay? I tend to be a little petty sometimes. I'm working on this, but and honestly, I thought that was great because no, it wasn't gonna be in the film, but it gave me the creative freedom just to express it one time. I think that's one of the best things I've personally gotten from being an actor, is the ability to express emotions that sometimes I may not get to do in real life. Whether it's because of my day job or just the decorum I like to present day to day, I'm not the guy who's screaming and flipping people off, but I've thought about it. and so sometimes moments like that, whether in the rehearsal or in a film, you get an opportunity, and if you get that opportunity, seize it.
Well, Nate, thank you for seizing this interview, and we're so glad you came here tonight.
Hey, thanks.
I'm going to let you go, but I'm going to say thank you so much for coming up. It's so nice to meet you.
Hey, pleasure to be here.
Release the petty cut.
No way. Naomi,
Yeah.
let's seize the rest of this interview. Who we're going to talk to next?
We're going to talk to Shukri.
Shukri, would you please come up? Now, if I'm not mistaken, Shukri plays Mona, so she carries the heart of this movie, right? So Naomi, just to introduce Shukri for us, tell us about the joy of working with Shukri.
You know what I loved about Shukri, like through her audition, was her vulnerability in playing Mona, and you could see like the intensity of her emotions, throughout, and so it was just great for her to embody this character. So just really
Thank you.
I'm going to pass that same question to Jordan. You know, you get the unique opportunity of working with someone with not just an expressive face, but such a beautiful, well-rounded character. Like, what's the joy capturing that?
The most fun I had, and especially because it like came out well on screen, was when we were walking across the parking lot area, and you had me and Miguel just sort of like circling you chaotically with these cameras and like tripping over ourselves, and you were totally in it and totally delivering, and we could just be like wherever or like literally tripping, and you were still like delivering and pausing for us and moving. I love that. It was great. And I was so worried that chaos would not translate onto screen, but it looked amazing. It had such good energy to it. So I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I loved all that too. And I remember you guys being like, slow down, like you're walking too fast. And I was like, no, like you need to feel what I'm feeling. So it was a lot of fun.
Well, speaking of that fun, I've got the pleasure of watching the movie a couple more times than everyone else has. So, I see something that, I don't get to see in a lot of short films and actors, should agree, is that you captured the beauty in chaos. So
Thank you.
Thank you. Shucks, thanks. But I wanted to ask you, how, when you are playing a character that's so vulnerable, how do you find it in yourself to help someone else?
Oh, I don't know. If I'm being honest, I don't know if I have an answer to that. I think it's just really being as present as possible and trying my best to stay in the character and in the moment, while trying to be as true and authentic to myself as I possibly can. And I think for Mona specifically, there was just so much about her that I really related to, and it was kind of hard, honestly, to even play her because I was like, this is a little too vulnerable even for me, as an actor. But yeah, I think it's just doing your best to stay present and really grounding yourself in the moment.
How, when you and Naomi are both kind of figuring this out together a little bit, how do you guys collaborate and make this something where you can really communicate the emotions of these things?
Honestly, I think that was all on Naomi. She was incredible. I definitely think the type of director that lets the actor act. Because I think there are some directors that are like, do it like this, and I want it more, fine-tuned maybe, or something like that. But Naomi, she really there would be some times I think where I got a little overwhelmed, or I was a little too much in my head, and she would pull me to the side and be like, hey, just take a breath. What are you feeling? What is Mona feeling? What do you want to convey here? What are you trying to convey? And so I think that really helped me get back in, not in my head, but more in my body. So I don't know. I think she's amazing. So that's my answer.
I want to add to that. It was very much, I loved in the early shot list, I had a bunch of tiny, quick close-ups and all these weird Dutch angles and everything. And it was very much no, just hold on this take. Don't move, don't call cut, don't stop until the action is well over and settled. And so it was a very kind of natural, everyone got to experience the actual scene each time. And that was good. That was good for me. I was sort of oh, but my cool whatever shot. But then the final result was so much more sort of elegant and real, and it was allowed to breathe, and that energy was there, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, it was interesting that working with Shukri, it was great because it was what do you feel in this moment, and how does that connect to the character? So trying to connect to the character through what you're feeling in the moment, I think is what I came away with.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I was just going to add. I mean, we all know Naomi is a magician with the blocking, with giving you so much to do and so much motivation. What was it like being able to or trying to play this character while you have sort of a million things that you're doing and keeping that energy up and moving through it? What was that experience like?
Oh, chaotic, but also really refreshing at the same time. It felt almost therapeutic, seriously. I remember the bedroom scene when we were shooting it that day. That was crazy, and we changed so many things from what we wanted to do and what was in the script. But in Naomi just really let me, really let me act and really let me play the character, I guess, how I saw her as well. And I don't know, it just made a world of difference to me. It was even in that chaos, there was some calmness in it each time, each take. So I don't know, I really loved that.
No, Shukri, I think with a lot of actors, the comment as I get is that I had to find the stakes in the script. So a lot of people, it's dude, where's my car? Is kind of it's with the baseline for it, because what's the problem in dude, where's my car? Where is my car? There's consequences. Am I going to get to work? But you don't have to dig for that in this movie. There's obvious confrontational issues. So where do you work where you have such high stakes in this movie? How do you find the balancing act and try to persist?
I think it's just really taking it, like one scene at a time, one take at a time, and also just remembering that this is a woman who's gone through a lot, and for a really long time in her life, she's had to be perfect. And I think also living in a society where we do see mothers who, for whatever reason, don't have custody of their children or are not with their children 24/7, they're not seen as good mothers, or they're not seen as women who should even be mothers. So I think that that really is something that I always kept in the back of my head, that before anything else, she's a human being. And I really wanted that. I wanted to convey that. As much as she wants her son back, as much as she wants her life back, as much as she wants to stop being an addict, I think she just really has to remember that she's a person, and that she's going to make mistakes, and she's made some mistakes, and there's really nothing else she can do but go up from here. And I know in the room we had like a bunch of sayings and a bunch of phrases, and one thing was like one day at a time. And so always having that kind of like in my eye line view during the bedroom scene, that really kept me like grounded, because it made me remember like, yeah, one day at a time, one scene at a time, one moment at a time. So
Yeah, and I just want to.
Well, thank you all for being here tonight. It has been such a pleasure to see In Time and Naomi and Jael and Nate and everyone's fantastic movie. I hope that this will be the beginning of you guys seeing more events like this and coming to see more local film and theater and art, because it's just the best way we all can stay creative, Colorado. So Naomi, lead us out. Thank you. Why don't you say goodbye to the audience?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much. We have an Instagram page at In Time the Movie, at In Time the Movie, yes. And we also have a website, intimethemovie.com. Please, check us out. Follow us on Instagram.
The handle's In Time 2022.
In Time 2022 is
In
the
Time
handle.
2022.
So if you post pictures on Instagram, please tag us and we'll collect those. That would be great. Really appreciate it.
And one last thing, folks. This is part of a live recording for our show, hashtag support local film. We're on YouTube, we're on Spotify. If you want to see interviews with people as amazing as a Naomi, every week we release a new